South Africa and Cricket World Cups. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Royal Chokers. I couldn't have started this live off with anything else, I know we are a little late to talk about it. The world has already known about this, but then I have to tell it. I was waiting for this since morning. I woke up in the morning for this team and they choked. They choked like ever before. This is classic South Africa. I'm so proud of them. They stuck to what they are in World Cups. They maintain their template, and that's why I love them. I love the way how they go about in World Cups. And I'm pretty sure in the next World Cup also they'll give you this hopes and they'll choke royally. अगले साल तो बारिश आएगा इन लोगों को वॉश आउट करने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा ही होगा. But on that note, India and Pakistan have qualified into the semi-final. Pakistan, if you're watching this, it's written in the stars. Is 92 repeating for you people? Watch it, watch it. I think the stars are aligning for them to really go forward, and and also remember, this is the possible year for for Pakistan or even India to meet once again in the T20 World Cup final after 15 long years. So will that happen? Hold on, just 1 week from now. But first, can they clear the first hurdle? That is going to be New Zealand and England. That's who they're going to face in the semi-finals. I have both Sandibani and Jaren joining me today to talk about it. Welcome both of you gentlemen on the show. It's a pleasure to have you both, and I want to know your reactions because it's been a crazy day for cricket because it started early morning at 5:30 here, and it's now evening 5 almost, and almost 12 hours of intense cricket, 12 hours of cricket which did not see how things would really turn up. This was the turn of tide. This was the absolute turn of tables. Nobody expected this last night except few Pakistan fans who really held on to it, but it did happen. Netherlands went on to defeat South Africa.
I don't think even Pakistan fans expected. I think Pakistan fans were like even more expecting that probably India might just kick the bucket against Zimbabwe, but it was just out of ordinary. It just seemed like Netherlands came dressed in the green jerseys today, and I mean it was like South Africa were playing in the orange jerseys because the way some of those the Dutch batsmen were striking the ball in comparison to the way South African batters are striking the ball, it just seemed like I mean, truth to be told, it seemed like South Africa under 19 was playing the World Cup today. Just the lack of, I wouldn't say inexperience, but the lack of skill as to clear the boundary ropes and the way the wickets fell. I think the only person I probably felt, was who got out for a decent enough delivery was David Miller, because it was a very good short ball at that stage, and the catch was excellent by Vandermeer, who's also incidentally a South African player once upon a time.
Yeah,
I think just adding to the ironies and the paradoxes and whatnot that happened today morning. But
yeah.
literal shocker. The top team in the table just conceded to the team that was at the
Even
bottom of the
Colin
table right
Ackerman is
before.
a South African born player, so it just adds to the wound even more.
Yeah,
Colin
yeah.
Ackerman is also South African born player, so it just happened that they all knocked South Africa out. But we'll move away from the South Africa game. We'll come to the India game right now, which just got over. I'll come to Sandhimani. How do you rate this performance? Do you think it was a complete performance once again? Surya Kumar Yadav just being himself, just another day at office for him, playing all those extraordinary shots out of the blue. And not out of the blue, it's just normal cricket for him. That's his V, I believe. His V is behind the wicket for him. And KL Rahul continuing from where he left off. Virat Kohli played okay knock in between. And but today the biggest change was Rishabh Pant coming back into the team. Are these sign of things to come going ahead in the semi-final? You're on mute, Sanjibani. You're on mute. We have
No,
lost
I
your
think
connection. I think there's some issue. Maybe you can
you
join
probably
in.
have to rejoin. Yeah.
Yeah, meanwhile you join in, I can come back to Jaren on the same question. What do you think about this, Jaren? Because is this a sign of things to come
Yeah, I
for
think
India? We
we
did
did
discuss about
discuss
this
yesterday
yesterday.
that if you want Rishabh Pant to be in the squad, then you have to play him in today's match, or else you wouldn't probably expect, you would not expect, Rishabh Pant to come in the semi-finals and then start playing a knock, because it's just not possible as someone like Rishabh Pant is a very good player, is very good under pressure, but it's just not right to throw someone in the lion's den, so as to speak, right in the semi-finals. Maybe, yeah, I think maybe it is a sign of things to come. But then, to be very very frank, Rishabh did not take the things, did not seize the day, as they say, and he's only scored 3 or 5 in a situation where probably India required a lot more and someone to support Surya Yadav at that stage. Him and even Hardik Pandya probably very disappointing, 18 of 18. That's where you probably felt again today.
But you
KL
only give
Rahul
the
did
lead
play
to
well.
Rishabh Pant because he got out to a blinder of a catch which was taken by Ryan Burr in the boundary. It's not
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day
I
that
mean,
those catches get taken in the boundary, right? And also the
correct.
intention is right. I think Sandipani is back. Sandipani, your thoughts because we're discussing on Rishabh Pant versus DK. Yesterday we had a long debate on this particular topic. So I just want to ask you on that. I think you still are facing a issue with the sound. Maybe you can figure that out meanwhile. Some technical glitch in the wrong time for you. It happens in
I think
online sports,
Sanjay
guys.
right now, your server is
I
acting
think
like
it's
South
okay right
Africa.
now.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, there we
Am
go.
I audible?
yes, you're good to go. Good to
Yeah.
go. Unleash yourself, Mr. Sandeep.
No, I mean yesterday whatever we discussed on our live yesterday, I think pretty much of it came true, and I think the problem for India stays on. Even though it was a convincing victory, we predicted that if the bat first, they are going to post a huge total. They are going to win by a lot of runs because this
Yeah.
Zimbabwean batting lineup does not look the best of
Yeah, I mean,
the
fun
best that
fact.
the team
So,
can be.
I mean, ICC came up with the stat that I think Zimbabwe have won 72% of the matches or 74% of the matches batting first. So that is just another stat that we saw come through today.
Yeah, but not just that, but I mean, talking from an Indian standpoint, I think the number five, number six position still a cause of concern. I mean, yeah, that
Yeah,
catch that Ryan Bull took off Rishabh Pant, it was spectacular, and the message was sent in the middle that he'll have to go out there and just go after the bowling. But then again, Hardik Pandya, 18 ball 18, not the knock that you expect from Pandya, and Rishabh Pant failed 3 of 5. At the end of the day, it's all about the score that you have next to you. So 3 out of 5 for Rishabh Pant, 16 of 16 of Hardik Pandya, and Akshar Patel did not get to bat. So and also that goes to again my question: why is Akshar Patel playing? What is his use in the team? Because if he continues to bowl like that, bat like that, I mean, no productivity from coming from Akshar Patel. But number
Yeah.
five and number six, I mean, this will make the selectors even more confused, right? I would
Yeah.
have liked it if they would have introduced Rishabh Pant against England, probably in the semi-finals before,
Mhm.
and not in the game against Zimbabwe, because something that was going like it was going okay for them. It was going okay for Team India. Yeah, number five, number six, any the batting lineup after number four was a cause of concern. The number seven slot was a cause of concern. But things were looking smooth, and they changed it up a bit with dropping Dinesh Karthik and bringing in Rishabh Pant. And
Yeah.
now I mean Rishabh Pant after the 3 of 5, what do you do right now? Who plays in the semi-final? Whether is it Rishabh Pant or is it Dinesh Karthik? So this
Interesting that
this
you mentioned
becomes a
that.
huge
Because
debatable topic
yesterday
right
also
now.
we had a debate on similar lanes as to how India will be looking into the semi-final. Now, if you have to talk about Rishabh Pant, he brings in a different factor
Yeah, but
altogether.
Abel, see, the thing that happened is whatever was going right for Team India continued to go right for them. Surya Kumar Yadav, huge positive. KL Rahul coming to form and bashing Bangladesh and Zimbabwe like pretty much expected of KL Rahul. Rohit Sharma again falling prey to a short pitch delivery, trying to play his favorite hook shot, pull shot, trying to pull it and getting caught at deep square
yeah.
leg. And obviously Virat Kohli, he looked to be he looked to be set, and then it was just one of those days when he tried to accelerate and it did not come good for him. And if you consider that middle phase, that overs 11 to 15, India got only 28 runs in the 5 overs when the spinners were operating. So I think there was a tactical flaw from Craig Irvine to go back to their simmers, especially because Surya Kumar Yadav was playing them so well. He should have at least given made Sikandar Raza complete his spell, or probably given another over to Wellington Mazakadza, because we saw that both Hardik Pandya and Surya Kumar Yadav were struggling to get sort of hit them out of the park. So I think there was a tactical error in the captaincy. Otherwise, India
Yeah, I
couldn't have
think
got. You
maybe
won't
in
have
that
Surya Kumar
fashion, maybe I
Yadav
think
saving the day for
stepping
you
into
every
his
day, scoring 79 of
yeah.
the last five.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think stepping into the shoes of, stepping into shoes of Craig Irvine, I think his idea was the Pacers might just get a wicket here or there. Maybe he's just pushing a little harder because he knows this Indian batting lineup, if allowed to go long, can be threatening, and that's probably the reason why he went for it. But you're right. In hindsight, it did seem like the wrong decision because Indian batters really enjoyed pace on the ball once the pace was brought back by Muzarbani and I mean. And Engarava. But that's where we spoke about it yesterday as well. That if India is able to do well in the power plays, and if India keeps their wickets in hand, then they'll really be able to explode towards the end of it. And I think to a great extent, that's where KL Rahul's innings came handy because he held at one end and made sure that India only lost a wicket. And 46 runs a wicket, I think the way that Melbourne pitch was behaving, especially the new ball, it was a pretty good, very good contribution, I would say. And then from there on, a very good return overall. But yeah, I think as you mentioned, we had KL Rahul is looking good. He does look against good against such teams most often than not. But he is at least timing the ball. He's playing some very good shots.
Yeah.
But I think, as you mentioned, we probably hoped that today was the day Hardik Pandya could have come good because the stage was set for him. If
Yeah, stage
today
was
Hardik
indeed
Pandya
set
had
for
come
him,
good,
and
yeah,
yeah, it
and
just looked
India
like
could have
he
gone
was
about
struggling a little
200.
bit.
It could have been more comprehensive. I think we are a little lucky here that it was not a net run rate based match, and the fact that Zimbabwe it kind of imploded towards the end after that Ryan Ball wicket, because still that wicket before that wicket was taken by Ashwin, Netherlands were pretty close. I mean, they were looking good. It could have been a close
Zimbabwe.
finish, but then they just imploded.
I don't think so. I
And
think Zimbabwe were out the moment the power play. You picked up a couple of
I
wickets
think it
there.
was a horror
It was just
start. I think they were not in the chase,
yeah, I mean,
not
fair enough.
in the
But
picture for a
they did,
long time
at
with
least in
36
cricketing
for 5.
terms, they could have been some kind of it could have been a closer finish. I'm not saying India would have
I don't
lost the
think so.
match because
I
Yeah,
don't think
because
so. It would have
I
been a
mean,
close.
Rohit Sharma was experimenting. Rohit Sharma was using his spinners, fifth and sixth bowling
Yeah, he
options. Rohit
wanted
Sharma
to
was
give
checking
confidence to
whether
Akshar
he can
Patel.
go with Akshar Patel and Hardik Pandya towards the in the semifinals as well. So he was just giving them a run through so they could get some match time. And I think Akshar Patel disappointed today as well. Ashwin also went for 18 of the first two, but then he came back. And this is what we have seen against left-handers. Ashwin loves bowling against left-handers,
So I don't understand
and
the logic now.
just
So
just
you're
that
gonna
one
play
wicket, and Ashwin was back to his rhythm.
if Akshar Patel is not playing, I'd rather have Deepak Hooda in the team, or else because against England you'll be having four left-handers anyway, so it's better to play Deepak Hooda instead of Akshar Patel, and it's better option to go. You can't take risk against England. You have to score runs because it's Adelaide, and with the kind of semi-final in the semi-final and final, I'm expecting fresh wickets to be rolled out, and which means English team will try to bat you out, and that's where you can either go with two options. Either you can bring in Chahal by dropping Akshar Patel, or Harshal Patel can be a good move as well. It could be a wild card entry. If you are going to have Adelaide pitch anything like what we had today, Harshal Patel
yeah,
can be a wild card entry into that. Harshal Patel with the slower balls can really deceive the likes of maybe Moeen Ali, Josh Butler, even Ben Stokes, for example. So Harshal Patel can still be in the radar of the selection. But then Akshar Patel, I really don't see him having any use in that game against England, mainly because they have four left-handers. And secondly, the timing is his entry point in which he's going to be brought into ball is where the left-handers are going to bat. And thirdly, the boundaries are going to be shorter. And when the boundaries are going to be shorter on the square side, you are inclined to go for a lot more runs, especially with the likes of Akshar Patel, because his variations are that he's going to dart the ball in and he's going to absolutely climb into a length where English batters can either pull or either sweep you for long. So it's going to be very important for Rohit Sharma to make that call. I'd rather go with a Yuzvendra Chahal, take a risk, go with a batter shot, take English team head on, mainly because you can't win with this English team by bowling dot balls. You have to defeat this English team only by picking up wickets. And in that regard, I personally think you should go in with someone like a Yuzvendra Chahal in that semi-final. I know it's too late to bring in someone like a Yuzvendra Chahal. Ideally, this should have been the game you should have brought in Yuzvendra Chahal because
yeah. I think
you would
this
have
should
given him
have
a lot
been the
more
game
confidence.
because today's pitch again, you saw that it was gripping, it was turning. It was a lot slower. I mean, it could have been the day, and because it was at the end of the day Zimbabwe, and probably the one match. I mean, no disrespect to Zimbabwe, they're a very good team, but then so is Chahal, a very good
No, you know
bowler, and
why?
it
You know
could have
another
been the
reason
match to give him that
add
whole
to that is
vibe
also
of the
you
World
already
Cup.
you already had qualified to semi-final. By the time your match was starting, you already
Yeah,
knew you were in the
exactly,
semi-final.
precisely, yeah, precisely. And I
Absolutely.
think
So
New
there
Zealand
was
and
no
England, you're not
pressure.
facing a lot of skill difference as well. I know there's a lot of you kind of haunted as an Indian fan by New Zealand, but I certainly hope that the Indian management is not thinking the same manner. As fans, because there are a lot of things that are uncontrollable. We think about all these things, but I think as a team, at least they would be ready to take either of them, because if you look at right now in terms of the table, both of them have the same amount of points, and the net run rate difference is probably something you can bring into. But skill wise, towards the end of the group A, both of them look similar. So I don't think there's much skill difference that you're facing, or form wise you're going to be facing, in terms of the challenge that both of them will present. So maybe yeah, I think Chahal should have been included as well, especially given the fact that now you have included Rishabh Pant. So maybe some more length to your batting.
Absolutely, and that's one thing which you can consider going into semi-final. But what do you think, Sanimani, on that call as well? You can take England head on by going in with an extra bowler, and it certainly helps with the likes of Liam Livingston and Josh Butler and Moonley being good players for spin. But at the same time, the only way you can take this team on is by picking up wickets, because they are batting till 11 and they're going to play in one particular fashion, which is take on the attack. And if it's a good batting wicket, it's going to be impossible for you to bat them out. They're going to be definitely better than you in batting. It's a fact. Let's all agree to it. Though
Definitely,
we
yeah.
might have individual players who are better skilled,
Yeah,
but when it comes to
but
the complete
Abel,
unit
with
coming into
the
the attack,
England team right now, I think in this World Cup, whatever they have done, I think the majority of the runs, whenever they have a platform set by Alex Hills and Josh Butler, the middle order has just come in and capitalized on it and accelerated from there. But when we have a couple of early wickets in that England innings, I don't think the middle order has actually showed up, because Harry Brooks did not have a good time. Neither has David Malan when he played. Ben Stokes, that last innings, just that last innings. Other than that, I don't see even Ben Stokes contributing too much with the bat as well. And Liam Livingston and Moeen Ali, yeah, I mean they have had a few unbeaten knocks, but they haven't looked at their best, at their comfortable best. So the middle order has been struggling for this England team, and I think right now the only, not the only way. I mean, India are bowling really well in the power plays, especially with if there is a little bit of swing, then we have Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep Singh bowling well in tandem in the top four, and then you have Mohammad Shami coming in the first change, and he's also bowling really well. So that is not the issue, but I think the in bowling front, I think these middle overs will become very important. If you drop Akshar Patel, and if you go in with an extra bowler, probably that will give you an extra cushion. If Chahal is there, then you will have to just take out 8 overs in between Chahal, Ashwin, and Hardik Pandya. So I think that is another way that India can go about it. But personally, I would prefer Deepak Huda, especially because he'll give something with the bat. I'm not quite sure whether it's either Deepak Huda or Harshal Patel. I don't see Chahal
another
coming
thing
in
why
because,
I like to go with Deepak Huda ahead of even Chahal is Chahal's record in Australia is not impressive. Actually, we did point
yeah.
that out. Secondly,
And
you're going to
and
bring him in a
definitely
situation.
the way you spoke, Akshar Patel will not be useful because of four left-handers. Similarly, I mean Chahal, if you give him the
Yeah,
opportunity to bowl against four left-handers, he'll bowl a very defensive line. He'll try to bowl way outside off stump, and
absolutely.
it might so happen that he may go on to concede in excess of 10 runs per over.
Yeah, it's not a bad matchup call to go in with Deepak Huda in terms of his ability to play spin as well. But now the question is, if you're having Deepak Huda, will you play Rishabh Pant in the same team as well? Now that's a very big question, because both of these batters you can't play them below number five. You have to play them at number five, or you don't have them in the team. That's the best you can get out of these two players. Now, when it comes to Deepak Huda, his ability is that you can use him as a spin hitter. You know his ability. He's got a very good range against spin. He can take on a Moeen Ali, he can take on a Adil Rashid, and even a Liam Livingston. So that is a good positive you have with Deepak Huda. But now, what is Indian teams? Now again the question comes. If you're playing DK, it's fine to go in with a Deepak Huda. But if you're playing Rishabh Pant, you can't go in with Deepak Huda for the similar reason. Deepak Huda at number 7 is a
See,
useless player.
also the
Let me
thing
be
is
very
with
honest.
today's choice, playing Rishabh Pant ahead of Dinesh Karthik was in a way justified because they wanted to try him out, and it was a game anyway. It was not consequential in terms of the table scenario. I mean, India could have won and got on top, so they tried to experiment with Rishabh Pant. That is fine, but Rishabh Pant not performing tonight has only added the dilemma whether you should use Dinesh Karthik or Rishabh Pant, because personally, I would have preferred Dinesh Karthik. I know Rishabh Pant is a big game player. Rishabh Pant loves playing in Australia. Having considered all that, Dinesh Karthik leading up to this World Cup was in great shape. Yeah, he has not had the best of times in Australia. He has not looked to be scoring a lot of runs. But in the last game that he played against Bangladesh, he was just trying to get a move on, and then he unfortunately got run out. So I think a little bit more of game time probably in today's game would have helped him, but since the
I'd
selectors
also
went with
like to
Rishabh
see
Pant,
Rishabh Pant's record against Sam Curran, which I believe is a very good positive record which he has against Sam Curran. Something which I'd like to look into as well, because he is someone who has got better record against Sam Curran, and he's got a decent record against Mark Wood as well. So these two things need to be kept in mind, and also Rishabh Pant can be used as a better batter against Adil Rashid. Maybe against Rishabh Pant they'll use a Moeen Ali for sure, but still against Adil Rashid, if at all they're going to use Adil Rashid, Rishabh Pant is better off taking on those shortest square boundaries as well.
And I mean,
And
if
remember,
Rishabh
yeah,
Pant
I
does
think
continue
Sam
to,
Curran versus Rishabh Pant, the record in T20s is 23 balls, 29 runs, and Rishabh Pant
let's look
hasn't
at
been
one day
dismissed
cricket as
by.
well, because
Yeah.
that is a smaller data. Because just look at one day cricket overall as well. Rishabh Pant versus
Overall, I
Sam
think
Curran.
one in ODIs, I think ODI record is 19 runs, 11 balls, and he has dismissed Rishabh Pant once in 2021.
Okay. And
But
strike rate.
yeah,
I just want
I
to
mean,
look.
the strike rate is pretty high. It's small data, but still Rishabh Pant
Hmm.
loves facing Sam Curran because if you consider the total ODI plus T20I record, I think he has scored some 48 runs in 34 deliveries at a strike rate of well in excess of 140, I guess 144, 145, and has been dismissed only once. So it's a favorable battle for Rishabh Pant when it comes to Sam Curran. But then again, I would go with experience. I won't experiment because I have, if the management has trusted Dinesh Karthik for the Asia Cup, they have trusted him over Rishabh Pant for the majority of the World Cup, then just give him one more game. I mean, just one more game and
I
let's
think
see. I
ideally
mean,
they will give Dinesh Karthik one more game is what I believe, because today even in the toss, Rohit Sharma was very clear that they wanted to try Rishabh Pant because he did not get any game time throughout this tour. And
fair enough.
personally think it's an experiment of sorts and not really a move ahead. Even if it's a move ahead, I really back it because of the fact that you don't know what you get from Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant on a big day can be your match winner. And against teams, that's where he really steps up. You don't know with Rishabh Pant is that he's a double-edged sword. He's a risk worth taking in some way or the other, because if he clicks, you know he can win a match single-handedly. That's the ability this guy carries. Even today, his intention was right in taking on Sean Williams there. He got out to a very good catch by Ryan Bull. It's one of those days for him. But it's okay. It's totally
But
fine at the
Rishabh
end of the
Pant
day.
also has a brilliant record against Adil Rashid. He hasn't been dismissed in ODIs. He has scored 55 runs of 33 balls. And when it comes to T20Is, he has scored 26 of
Exactly
70.
my point.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. I think
And
he's been
haven't
dismissed
been
by Moeen
dismissed.
Ali there a couple of times in Test cricket as well. So that's one matchup he'll be wary of. But I don't think there'll be a lot of turn in Adelaide. So he can line up against Moeen Ali
Yeah, I
and
mean,
make him look.
also, in the T20 format, one advantage is in test when you have a weakness against a particular bowler, you are a little bit more wary because that bowler has a lot of opportunities to come at you. I mean, Moeen Ali might bowl 20 overs till you're out. That's a possibility that always comes, especially when they're spinners. But when it comes to T20I format, they only have limited 4 overs, and in that 4 overs, if there is one partner, let's say Surya Kumar Yadav, is on the other hand, he can take Moeen Ali down while you keep Adil Rashid for Rishabh Pant. So those kind of matchups can come into picture where the other batter really comes into picture, the one on the non-strikers end, and that is why maybe India won't be as wary about Rishabh Pant's record against Moeen Ali, as long as you have someone like someone on the other end. Obviously, I think Virat Kohli also has a very bad record against Moeen Ali, but
Yeah.
hopefully it is Surya Kumar Yadav who's going to take England down.
Yeah, I think so. Surya Kumar Yadav has a very good record against spin, and especially with the
Yes,
kind of form
yeah,
he's in.
and he has very
If
good memories
Virat
against
Kohli and
England as well.
Surya Kumar Yadav are batting together, then it's going to be a tough time for England again, because one player will take on spin at ease, and he's got a range like no other. So it's going to be tough for that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, what do you think? Now the semi-finals are lined up in such a way that now Indian team wouldn't want to experiment a lot. What are the positives you'll take from today's game? Because Sandipani mentioned KL Rahul's form is definitely one of them because it's been consistent. Two knocks will give you a lot more confidence. What do you say about Rohit Sharma? Because we expected Rohit Sharma to score today with the likes of, he did show promise earlier on with a shot which he played straight up. And he again
Yeah.
got after a pull shot where I thought he connected it pretty well, but he just did not get the height in it. The connection was just perfect for that, but and again getting dismissed to a shorter ball where he was set up for that. Now against Mark Wood, I believe Mark Wood will try to set him up for the short ball. We've seen that in a couple of occasions in Test cricket as well, where Mark Wood was trying to set him up for the short ball and he had fell there in the English series last year. What do you think about that, Jaren?
Yeah, Markwood, that's been his length as well, right? His length has been the back of the leg delivery where he tries to extract pace and bounce from the pitch here in Australia. That's where he was very successful in the Ashes as well. That England came down. He was the only bowler who looked threatening, and England overballed him to an extent, and then England even made him bat. That's how successful he was in the Ashes. But coming to Rohit Sharma, I think he is someone who's looking a little jittery, I would say. He's playing his shots, and that's not to say he isn't looking good at all. As we already discussed, I think it's a lot more of a mental block. I think Saurabh Ganguly is the one who came up and said it, that you have so much tension as an Indian captain that by the time your Indian captaincy stint is done, start growing grey hairs. I haven't seen it on Rohit Sharma yet, but I think maybe one more year. He's a very fresh captain, so maybe one more year you'll see that happening. But I mean, that aside, I think it is a lot sort of a mental block. You're leading your team into an ICC tournament. India has been sort of a sleeping giant. They have they've always looked like the team that's going to win, and they've not done very well in the quarters. So as speaks to like in the terms that they haven't won any silverware for all the performance that they've had, the domination that they've shown across the world in cricket in bilateral series. So this is one tournament that we've all believed, right? I think Rohit Sharma has an excellent captaincy record. He's all. I mean, if you overlook Dhoni, someone who's won almost everything he's captain with, in, and this is one of his challenges now that he's leading this team into the World Cup. And his captaincy has been on point on almost all the games. I think many a times it's been his captaincy that has turned the thing, turned the tide around for India. But I think that is something that is affecting him. I feel in terms of in terms of his batting abilities, because you are seeing that Rohit Sharma hasn't done that well in the past few months, even in the IPL. I think so. Maybe there is something to that effect. Maybe the captaincy is the one reason, and also as we've already discussed, he's tried to change his template. He has been the one who's been going after the bowling, because that is not something that Rohit Sharma does. Even in the IPL, Mumbai has always paired Rohit Sharma with an explosive batter, someone like a Richard Levy or Quinton de Kock. These are the kind of batsmen that Rohit Sharma is used to playing with. Ishan Kishan was an experiment; it did not work because Ishan Kishan did not again. Ishan Kishan started to play that slower knock as well. But the idea for Mumbai Indians was the fact that he would provide Rohit Sharma with the space. But the moment you see him getting paired with a batter like KL Rahul, or how Ishan Kishan has been batting, you realize that then he starts to struggle a little bit, because then he feels like he has to be the one to get the move on, and that's where I think he starts playing these shots, some shots that he wouldn't naturally play. And I think that's where maybe that isn't working out for him. Maybe it's time now you step up and say, okay, KL, your turn. You try and play the same way that Rohit Sharma can, because I think Rohit Sharma tried to do, because I think KL is more equipped for it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because KL has done this before. That's the kind of batter he used to be. But in inconsequential games, maybe it's time that you tell as management, KL, it doesn't matter what the press says or what the people say. We will give you 20, 40 games, but you just go after the bowling.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That makes absolute sense. We'll take some questions now. Couple says very disappointed with South Africa's Netherlands match. I think South Africa themselves and the whole country will be disappointed with that. It was just awful cricket. Just to sum it up, it was just awful cricket from South Africa. If they were a true contender for the World Cup, they deserve to. They actually had to defeat Netherlands. There's no excuse for the kind of cricket they displayed today. And Rabada has been just poor throughout the course of this World Cup. 16 overs, 152 runs, almost 10 runs per over. He's gone, and he's just picked up 3 wickets. And even him getting hit against Netherlands really says that he's out of rhythm, he's out of confidence, and out of form as a fast bowler. So even fast bowlers can be out of form, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing Rabada, Avesh Khan, a lot of fast bowlers going for a lot of runs across the world. Bowling has somehow been balanced, but it's the batting which has been cautious in the semi-final. To be cautious in the semi-final. I think so. When it comes to bowling, looks very good, especially Mohammad Shami Ashwin getting some wickets. It's about that one rule, whether you want to play Akshar plus Hardik as your fifth bowler, or whether you want to make Hooda and Hardik as your fifth bowler, or do you want to bring in a full-fledged leg spinner as your fifth bowler. So decisions to be made for the team management. I think they can make it with time. Now we'll come to Satwik Tripathi as well. And a very interesting question he's put up here. He says that rather when an underdog plays well, we rather discredit the team who has played badly, and we don't give credit to the underdog. I think it's right? What do you guys think about it? Because often we've seen
Yeah, I
that.
think there is, with being the favorites heading into a game, there is also the responsibility or the burden that the team carries of some certain expectations from their performance. And I think today's South Africa, or in general, when we see some sort of upsets, more often than not, the team that was considered favorites, they really underperform. And today was one of those days that South Africa absolutely choked, because if you see the innings progression as well, Netherlands and South Africa were pretty much at the same point at the end of 10 overs. They were pretty much at the same point at the end of 13 overs. But after 13 overs, towards the death, some brilliant hitting from Tom Cooper and Colin Ackerman. I have been saying that this Netherlands team has very experienced players who have played all around the globe, but they were just not coming to the party. And I think finally Tom Cooper, that 36-run knock of 19 deliveries, and Colin Ackerman 41 of 26 deliveries came to the party and at the right time. And for South Africa, I think there was some brilliant fielding. That catch from Van der Merwe was spectacular, because he was because he was running backwards from fine leg, and then he had to make the adjustment with the ball was sort of swooning in the air, and he had to make that adjustment and finally grab onto the catch running backwards. So it was brilliant, and I think that catch got rid of David Miller, who has been South Africa's most dependable middle order batsman, along with Aiden Markram. So they lost Aiden Markram and David Miller in pretty quick time in the overs, in the middle overs. And from there on, I mean, it was too much to ask for South Africa, because Netherlands have been bowling well. Netherlands have not been batting well, because if you see in this tournament
Mhm.
as well, Netherlands restricted UAE, they restricted Namibia for a total of 120. Even Sri Lanka could only manage somewhere close to 150 against Netherlands. So Netherlands were bowling really well, and even in the Super 12s they played a great brand of cricket. Finally, they were coming into this game having got the better of Zimbabwe again because of their bowling efforts. So when Netherlands posted that total of 158, it was a par total, and South Africa, I think they just took it a bit casually. And losing Quinton de Kock early on has never helped South Africa in recent times. We have seen that
I think we'll
the
talk about
innings
that
that
game in
Bavuma
depth and
plays.
later on. I think we'll
Yeah.
talk about that game in depth, but right now I think we are going to be
Yeah,
focusing
but
more on
but in
winning games.
general, I mean, answering his question, Satvik's question, I think, yeah, with when there is an upset, you expect the favorite to go on and perform with a certain standard that they have set for themselves. And I think today South
Yeah,
Africa really
you're right. I
underperformed.
mean, it is
Credit
the
to
burden of
Netherlands, they played a
expectations,
brilliant
right?
brand of cricket, but South Africa underperformed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the way they let the match go, I mean, we will discuss about it, but they really didn't seem like they were the favorites. It was complete domination. And that's where,
Yeah, it
you're
was.
upset with South Africa. I think if a team competes, like for example, I think Zimbabwe, Pakistan, we did appreciate Zimbabwe for the way they played, but because they competed, right? There was equal competition from both the sides. But in this game today, we saw South Africa fall off. They were not up to their standards. I think, for me at least, we all enjoy an underdog story. But when the top dog or the favorite do not perform up to their standards, that's when the criticism comes. And today, fairly, it was not a top performance from South Africa. This was a worse performance in a game that they should have easily won, in a game that they really needed to win.
Absolutely, and that's something which they will be now introspecting in a big manner. I think it's time for some heads to be really axed from the team, especially I know there's a lot of quota system. Yesterday we did speak about it in depth as to what is the
Yeah.
scenario in South African cricket,
I don't know, these are
Zimbabwe.
the kind of performances where the quota system really comes into question.
Yeah, I mean we can say that, but ultimately there is no excuse for the kind of performance they put in today, likes
Yeah,
of
I
David
mean,
Miller
it's
on pitch
not like,
last night.
with the quota also they didn't have the team. They did. And you can't blame the system, quota system at all, because the players who are in there are genuinely worthy of being in that level.
Yeah, absolutely. So I basically believe that what South Africa did today is not forgivable at all for the kind of cricket they played. I'm giving credit to Netherlands. Absolutely, I'm giving credit to Netherlands, but that doesn't mean if you want to be a world contender. If I was an Indian fan today, if my team would have lost to Netherlands, how I would be feeling, that's the exact point of view I want to put it forward today. Because that's not the kind of cricket you're expected to play. You are a much better team. You're possibly in world number five, you're world number five, world number four. You went on to defeat India in this World Cup. You were dominating. You had possibly one of the best pace attacks in this World Cup. Yet, you lost to Netherlands team. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse whatsoever. The kind of batting display you showed today, Temba Oma batting at 100 strike rate, a lot of players putting a lot of
Quinton
pressure
de
on
Kock batting
themselves.
at 100 strike rate.
The number of dot balls they played, I think we'll talk about it in depth later on. We'll answer some questions. Meanwhile, Tanya says, who are now the favorites to win the cup? Your thoughts, gentlemen. Who are now the favorites? Just give me a quick
I
answer
think,
on that.
I'll be very diplomatic here, Anya. Four teams were selected, definitely are the favorites to win the World Cup. I am not predicting anything. I remember I woke up in the morning. I saw this. I saw the last few overs, and I was shell shocked. I was shell shocked. I was like, this is the end of it. I mean, none of us predicted.
Did you wake up
We
or
all
did you
predicted
just
Pakistan probably could have.
did you
We
just sleep
predicted Pakistan
after
could
the
have
match?
gone, could have not gone in.
I thought you
But
slept after the match.
yeah, I did sleep after the match. So I saw the overs and I just slept. I suppose it was that shocking. But it
No, when
took
I
me an
woke up,
hour
the
or
first
so.
thing
It took me an
as
hour
soon
to
as
really get the sleep back, because I remember I woke up at. I mean, I slept through. I mean, I did not sleep at all. Then I saw this and I lost another 2 hours of sleep. I was like, this was it for me, because I couldn't believe it. I mean, you don't believe South Africa to go out
I'm
so
not kidding.
tamely.
I'm not kidding. Over the last 3 days, I don't know how to explain to you all. I've been trying to say myself Netherlands will win, South Africa will win, India will win. I had a hunch towards India that India might have an upset against Zimbabwe. I was
Yeah,
feeling there was going to be some upset. I didn't
because I
know
think
what it was.
every team has had that one upset,
My gut
and I was
feel
very
always
worried.
goes on to be true. Whenever I have a bad feeling against a team, happens to be true. Last week, I knew India will lose South Africa. Inside, I want to say India will lose South Africa, but I don't want to show it outside. And over the last 3 days, I'm not even kidding. I knew this day something is going to happen. Something weird is going to happen. And it did happen. And I was like, I'm not even shocked. Then I'm like, okay, thankfully at least India is qualified. That thing is not towards India, it is towards South Africa. I'm like, it's not surprising. At the end of the day, South Africa were supposed to choke at some stage. Thankfully, it happened in the group stage, and now they can go back pretty happily to South Africa, come back to the next World Cup, choke again in India, keep that in the repetition mode forever now. And they would not have a better chance for them to win a World Cup than this. I thought this was the year for them. They had a perfect team to do it so, and they just made it the best.
Yeah,
Will be India Pakistan final. See, I have my reservations for this particular question
yeah, I
because
think that's the point, right?
you
All
know,
four of these teams now, you can't predict this World Cup anymore. That's the
yeah,
point.
you know why I
Today's
say
match
India,
shows none of these
it
things matter
might
on the
not
pitch.
be an India Pakistan final, and we all are saying Pakistan now looks deadly unbeatable. I'll say no. Even today, they gave sniff to Bangladesh. If not for that
Yeah,
umpiring howler and 18 runs or 20 runs there here, this could have well been a Bangladesh game. Pakistan are
correct.
going to start their game.
I
They're
mean, I think let's
pleasantly.
talk about
I think
that game.
Bangladesh
Talk
were
about India.
pretty below par with on the field, especially with the ground fielding. I think that was just
Yeah,
not good enough.
They
If you're
dropped Rizwan for
This was a
zero.
potential quarterfinals after South Africa lost the game to Netherlands.
this was, yeah. And
This
I
became
This
a
think
was the
potential
quarter.
quarterfinal.
both the teams at the
So
start I
Bangladesh,
felt had a lot of nerves. Both the teams, I think, I mean, Liton Das and Shanto were just poking at the ball. They were not able to combat the pace. We saw, I think,
Even
some
Pakistan were nervy. I'm
fielding.
not even kidding. Even Pakistan were
Shadab
nervy.
Khan dropped a catch. We saw some. I think there was a run-out chance that Pakistan missed. Rizwan was yelling his heart out, and the ball and the throw came to the, I mean, baller's end. So these are the kind of things, especially the first 6 overs that of the Bangladesh innings. Both the teams looked very nervy, and it seemed like I think to an extent I felt like, the defeat of South Africa. I think both the teams are not expecting it. Both the teams were like, okay, we will see how things go. We are here to win the match, and we'll see how things work out. I don't think they expected, because you have to realize that both the teams were in Adelaide when the match was going on, and they must have caught at least the last 5 to 6 overs of it. So they would have seen how the pitch was. They would have seen how, difficult it is to bat, and I think, or ball, or how difficult. I think they were just intimidated by the fact that Netherlands beat South Africa. That's my take on it. And from there, I think both the teams started off very nervily. And I always felt when the match began that the team which loses it on the field will end up losing the match, and that's what Bangladesh did. And I think Pakistan were able to hold it together a lot more than the other team.
That's
That's all I'll
true.
say.
I mean, even Sandipani, you were right in pointing out how bad they were on the field. The ground fielding is an important factor in this game, and to drop Rizwan on not was also a very blunderish kind of a catching call because
I mean,
what
it
I
was a
saw
death
from
blow.
yeah, and I
Nurul,
think it would have been.
no, go ahead.
Should I say? Oh, yeah. I was saying, if you're dropping
I
something like
think
a
Sandipani,
Rizwan,
go ahead. I think Sandipani, you were making a point.
yeah, Sandhimani.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I'm facing some network issues because I don't know. I there is some lag and I can't hear guys. Yeah, but talking about Bangladesh, I think they were just poor on the field. If they would have taken those half chances, I mean that drop from Nurul Hassan was cannot be justified. You are the wicketkeeper of the team. You are dropping Mohammad Rizwan, the number two T20I batter in the world right now. You're dropping his catch in the first over itself, and you are
I feel
not even
Sandhimani was
defending a huge
distracted
total. You're
by
defending
Virat
128,
Kohli.
which was a below par total.
I think he was distracted by Virat Kohli warming up in
Yeah,
Melbourne,
I mean, like
and
jokes
that's
apart,
where
I
you
mean,
have to give Bangladesh some credit.
I
Also,
mean,
Virat Kohli I mean, also Virat Kohli, I think, would have come in picture somehow when it came to the Shakib Al Hasan howler. I don't know how Pakistan and Bangladeshi fans are going to settle that.
it's a PCB equal to ICC, like Inshallah Cricket Council, as one of our
Inshallah,
put
cricket
it.
council.
Let's be very honest. It's just howl. It was just one of the biggest howlers I've seen in cricketing World Cups in the recent times. It was a clear inside edge. That
Yeah.
was maybe 18, 20 runs
and
there,
and he is the
Shakib Al Hasan had
captain
to
of
put
the
in.
opposition team and their most experienced player as well. So,
Yeah.
and at that stage, I think that was very important, and that actually Bangladesh had the platform to go big because Shanto was playing a anchor sort of a knock. So if Bangladesh could have scored another 15-20 runs, I think they were under par by at least 17-18 runs. 145, 150 should have been the par on this track. And also, I think the way they bowled and fielded, I think they made a game out of it. 128. Pakistan did not look very comfortable up until the 16th of 17th over when Muhammad Harris came in and smacked one or two boundaries. I think till that point Bangladesh were pretty much in the game due to their I think fielding was one big factor, and I think batting. These are the two facets that actually disappointed for Bangladesh throughout this tournament, and for that reason itself, because this was a great opportunity for them being the actual underdogs, because they did not have the team to sort of qualify to the semifinals. Honestly, on paper this Bangladesh side were not looking to be a team that could even come close to qualifying. I probably thought that Zimbabwe and Netherlands will have a better time in the middle when compared to Bangladesh, and especially after that first game against Netherlands too. But Bangladesh won against Netherlands, won against Zimbabwe. They won their games, the two important games that they felt that they were the favorites heading into the game. And
Yeah.
against India, they put up a tough fight. And this game was, they just did not turn up tonight. I mean, batting, fielding, it was disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, it was indeed disappointing. I'm pretty sure it'll be hurting them a lot more because they had the platform set 10 over 70, and next 10 overs, just you were able to score 58 runs. It could have been easily next 10 overs 80 or 90, and that would have changed the entire context of the game. And Pakistan would have been under tremendous pressure with the kind of start they got. Both the openers striking less than 100, Rizwan striking at just 100, Babar striking at 80 odd. It was just poor stuff from Pakistani openers.
Yeah.
So, but Tanya did ask a question whether Pakistan will make it to the final. So that's why I say I have my reservations, because New Zealand at this point will be much more comfortable facing the Pakistani Pacers because of the kind of form they've been in. They've been peaking at the right time. Kane Williamson is back in form. And this is not the exact New Zealand team they faced in the Tri-Series final as well. This team is looking much more confident. This team has got a Lockie Ferguson who will trouble Pakistani batters once again. This team has got a Trent Bolt who's bowling in very good rhythm. So Ish Sodhi and Sandner is back bowling really well. And Pakistani top order has not fired. So a lot of things going against Pakistan. And there's not going to be the Sydney wicket which sticks around. For the final and semi-finals, there's going to be fresh wickets which are going to be laid down. And that's where I think it's going to be a much better contest between New Zealand and Pakistan. And I'm pretty sure New Zealand is going to give Pakistan a tough time. It's not going to be easy for Pakistan because they have some big
But
holes
honestly,
yet to be
I
filled.
expect the India versus Pakistan final that will go close, and probably India will come out on top, just like the 2007 T20 World Cup. And with every passing game, I think this
I
World
hope
Cup
it doesn't go
is
down
turning out
like.
to be like that. I mean, not so many upsets were there in 2007.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying
But
I hope it doesn't go like the Champions Trophy final.
I mean, if there is a script written for India versus Pakistan final, then it will happen. If the stars had to align for that, it had to happen, and it will
Right.
happen. But let's not be
And
excited
it's
for that
another Sunday,
because
right? The finals are on Sunday, so another day when huge
yeah, to be honest,
he'll get a
Asia
huge
Cup was set for that
turn
every
up.
Sunday to have India Pakistan match. It did not happen. Asia Cup format was just that India and Pakistan will play in every Sunday to have three India Pakistan matches. But at least let's hope it happens in the World Cup final. But I do have my reservations as well. It could possibly be England Pakistan final or an India New Zealand final. Uh, I am not making big calls over here, but
I think,
let's be very
to be very
honest.
honest, any of these four teams can make it in, and
It could also
that's
be England
the
New Zealand final. What if it's an
yeah,
England New Zealand
exactly.
final? Yeah,
I think the only
something
thing we
like
know at this point in time is that New Zealand and Pakistan won't be facing each other in the finals, and so will India and England won't be facing each other in the finals. That's the only thing we know. I think the rest of
yeah.
it, anything could happen at this stage because
I
that's the
mean,
World Cup it's for.
as I mentioned, we've not really gone on to do well in these major finals because of another reason that, when it comes to these big finals, it's important to stay so calm and do the basics time and time again, right? And our batting has always collapsed. So even if you are facing New Zealand team, I'll say you would have a bigger threat for you. You don't know how a Trent Bolt is going to come and ball his first spell. What if he picks up a KL Rahul first ball? Then all of a sudden, the
If you
heartbeat of
have
the
to be the
entire
world
team is
champions,
going to
you'll have
be.
to beat every team. So I think, be it New Zealand or England, India would have to go on to beat all the teams. They have
So you
lost
will have
their
to.
Yeah,
game
but I mean
against South
that's
Beat them
Africa.
in the
that
final. You will
has
have to
been
beat
the
England in the final.
Achilles heel for that has been the Achilles heel for India, right? Semi-finals.
I think
and
that's
New
the big.
Zealand.
I'm just saying from this point perspective that India versus England is a knockout which everybody were expecting since 2016. In 2016, also everybody were like it is going to be India England final. In 2017
Yeah,
Champions Trophy yet again, English cricket on top of their game. Indian white ball team has been doing exceedingly well. India England final, it did not happen. In 2019 again, everybody were expecting India
yeah.
England in the final in the Lords. 2021 yet again, India England are the favorites to win the cup. Finally, we are seeing them play together in a
Now you
knockout
can't expect
situation.
India England to be the finalist. I mean, one of them will
No,
again make
they
it,
were
but
expected to face some stage in the knockouts. It did not happen throughout this course. Finally, they're meeting in a knockout of an IC trophy after all this hype around these both teams. Because these both teams have been the most consistent white ball teams in the last 7 to 8 years. So finally, they're meeting an ICC knockout. I think who wins this match will go on to win the World Cup. I'm not disregarding New Zealand versus Pakistan, but I have a feeling who wins India England will go on to win the World Cup because
yeah,
the
but
hype of this
also
match,
yeah,
the
and
pressure of this
that is
match is
also
much.
because with Pakistan and New Zealand, both the teams are not really very comfortable in winning things like winning the finals. They have their jinx in the finals. They have their jitters in the finals. Both the teams somehow find they also collapse. I mean, we can call South Africa the king of collapses, but and chokers. King of chokers is South Africa, but
You know what
pretty
Pakistan will be
close is New Zealand.
hoping right now is that it's an England Pakistan final and repeat of '92 World Cup. Maybe Shaheen Afridi
Definitely,
coming around the wicket.
that is on the cards as well.
That is pretty much on the cards.
Yeah.
That's very much on the cards. Let's not wave around with that. And Shaheen Afridi coming around the wicket, like how we got Mosaddeq out, like Wasim Akram got out, Ian Botham and everybody in '92. This could possibly be that. It is on the cards. So let's not get excited or overexcited about anything at this point. One game at a time. India are playing on 10th of November, but before that we have a semi-final already. That's on 9th of November. Then New Zealand versus Pakistan, 2 days off. जाके मजा कर लो और फिर वापस आओ क्योंकि अगले 2 दिन तो आपके तो हार्ट बीट्स तो बहुत ऊपर जाने वाला है तो rest now, take care, watch some football. I would say we are going to be doing some football shows over the next 2 days, so pretty chilled out on that. Today let's do a review of maybe
Also the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy thing is coming up. The review of Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy in general.
we've
I
been
think
talking
We
about
have
probably
a
one
right,
players
regarding
that
that.
are most
right
impressive.
after the World Cup, maybe we'll have that once because Syed. I mean, after the World Cup, probably because before the semi-finals, we'll also probably try and do a review of all the teams, especially leading up to the semi-finals, how they performed and how
Yeah.
they might perform in the finals. But yeah, I mean, we'll probably try and come back and at least rate all the teams once in the group in the Super 12s and how they have performed, regardless of how they stood at the final stage. Because many a times in a tournament like this, it's one or two mistakes that cost you. South Africa would be able to tell you very well, and sometimes luck
I
goes
mean,
in
talking
your
about
way.
that, let's pull out the South Africa versus the Netherlands game, which took place earlier today. I think that was the biggest result of the day, more than Pakistan, Bangladesh, or India, Zimbabwe, because those two results were kind of expected, but this was the biggest surprise of it all. And this kind of speaks the entire story where South Africa fell apart. If you look at that, Netherlands did not lose any wicket in the power play, but whereas South Africa lost two, but Netherlands lost 3 wickets in the middle overs, and they slightly faltered in their run rate. But then South Africa went at 8 runs per over, but lost 2 wickets. But remember, South Africa by then had lost 4 wickets in by the end of 15th over. But
Yeah,
here is
but
the
the
biggest
thing
story.
is, up until the 15th over, like I said, 13th or 15th over, both the teams were on balance. I think the game was decided in the death overs, and I think
But yeah,
South Africa
this
was
is
just
where
not
my
good
eyes
enough in
are
the
on.
death overs, both with bat and ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where it speaks, The final kick for Netherlands was the difference over here. They went at 9.2 runs per over. They just lost 1 wicket. Colin Ackerman was brilliant out there. When it comes to South Africa, they just fell apart. They just fell apart when they really did not have to fall apart. Jaren, what are your thoughts? Because this graphic in itself speaks the entire story of the match.
Yeah, when you look at the graph, right, you realize that I think the power play also had a lot to do with it, and I'll tell you guys why. Because if you look at the power play right there, Netherlands have scored at 8 runs per over without a loss of a wicket, and South Africa, on the other hand, have scored at 30. Have scored at 6.5. That's pretty much run a ball, and they've lost 2 wickets. And that is why South Africa were always playing catch up. Because I know Netherlands did fall behind, but when you have that kind of pitch where the ball isn't coming onto your bat, where it's a bit sluggish, it's holding on the surface, and you're chasing. So when you start chasing, the pitches become already 20 overs older than when it started for Netherlands. It's become much worse. and that's the reason why you win the toss and they like to bat first on a sluggish pitch. So the new ball held the key, and both Bauma and Quinton de Kock played questionable shots, especially Bauma. The way he got out was just absolute mockery of. He tried to make an absolute mockery of the bowler, worked once, and then the bowler just worked him the next delivery. It was just an absolute, it was like a gift, right? You just give the ball, and it is almost as if he wasn't there. He just showed all three stumps, and the bowler was pretty smart. He made sure that he hit the stumps, which is pretty much what he must have been practicing all day long. The death overs again, because by the time the death overs came in, they were really just. I mean, they were pretty much done with it, and there was just no way that you would have seen that kind of a target chase, because they needed a lot to chase by the end of that time, and the ball wasn't coming onto the bat. And Colin Ackerman, Scott. I mean, the reason why we appreciate the way Tom Cooper and Colin Ackerman played is because of how difficult it was to bat on that pitch. And when it is so difficult to bat on such a pitch, you don't expect such kind of a target to be chased, and that's the reason why they just kept trying and trying, but it was too late by then. You hadn't built the platform, and it was just a hail mary to really go after the ball again. That's hence the reason why you saw so many wickets fall down.
Absolutely. And I also thought South Africa did not time their chase. They thought they could take the game deep, and that's where it really went apart.
No, I
Got a
think
new
they.
thing.
Oh, that's
Boomer
nice.
Boys Fan Club. Okay, that's our picture, and thank you for that. We don't know. Hello, guys. Follow us on Instagram. Okay, do we have an Instagram page right there? Nice, interesting. We will follow you on Instagram. India
Yeah,
and New Zealand will
definitely.
be one hell of a final. Absolutely, that's going to be one hell of a final. Everybody expected Australia, South Africa, India, and New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, India, and New Zealand to be the finalists. But then it has gone out of the picture. Pakistan is a wild card entry. And remember, when Pakistan enters from a situation like that, they always are the dangerous team. Now the confidence will be high. They know that they were dead, buried. But now they've got a second chance in life. So they would want to make the most out of it. Of course, they thank the Netherlands team for something which they did. And they'll also have to thank the South African team for royally choking in this game. Only South Africa could have possibly done this for Pakistan. No other team on the planet would have done it. If it was a New Zealand Netherlands game, if it was even India and Netherlands, or any other team, would not been able to do this. Because now South Africa and Netherlands and South Africa royally choked. That's the end of it. That's the end of the story for this. And Boomer Fan Club, coming to your question, I will definitely do follow you.
We will. I think
We will.
Sandhumani isn't here right now, but we'll definitely relay the message to him as well.
Absolutely. And it will be very interesting to see what you're going to post in that as well. But regardless of that, it's something pretty fun to watch. But Jen, now talking about it, let's move to semifinals. Whatever is done and dusted. I don't want to talk about all the games. We did discuss about today's game as well. Now, New Zealand Pakistan is the first semi-final. How do you see that game being panned out? Because I already told my opinion on it. I think New Zealand are going to be a tough team to beat in semi-final. It's not going to be easy for them because if it's a fresh pitch laid out, Finn, Allen, Devon Conway will come hard like they did in Sydney a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they definitely will, and that's where I think in some ways maybe Pakistan might take some inspiration from the way they played against New Zealand in the Tri Series, but obviously different conditions, different situation. To be very frank, that was Bangladesh Tri Series. This is ICC World Tournament, and but if Pakistan really need to win that tournament, I mean that match, win this tournament, they'll have to pull up their socks. The way they played today was very, what do you say? Very amateurish, I would say, against a Bangladeshi team because they gave away a lot of chances. And New Zealand is not going to be dropping Rizwan. New Zealand is not going to be giving these chances to Bangladesh. I mean, Pakistan did drop a few important catches. I mean, and Pakistan, I mean, when they dropped a few important catches, you would not see a Devon Conway or a Kane Williamson, Finn Allen, Glenn Phillips, and Daryl Mitchell also looked pretty good against Ireland, by the way. He was someone who's very instrumental in finishing that game off. So you wouldn't expect them to not capitalize on that kind of chance, and Pakistan would be wary of it. Maybe, and as I said, maybe they were a bit taken aback by that victory of South Africa against. I mean, not victory of South Africa, but victory on South Africa by Netherlands, and maybe that's the reason why. Maybe, and they might come prepared for the semi-finals, hoping so. But it's going to be very close contest because you don't know which Pakistan turns up, as we've spoken time and time again. If the Pakistan we saw today or the Pakistan we saw against Zimbabwe turn up, it's going to be a walk in the park for New Zealand. But the Pakistan we saw against India, if that or the Pakistan we saw against South Africa turn up, then it's going to be an interesting semi-final because New Zealand are not the best when it comes to buckling under the pressure. You put them early on in under pressure, they really tend to struggle in a knockout match.
Interesting that you mentioned that because especially when it comes to New Zealand team as well, they do also have their issues in the knockout games, especially in ICC
Yeah.
tournaments. They have
I think the only
had
team
their
they're
fair.
comfortable in facing at this point is India. Except for that, they've really struggled against all the other teams when it comes to knockouts.
Truly, truly, and the record of Pakistan versus New Zealand in World Cups are positive for Pakistan. In '92 they
Yeah.
faced in semi-final, '99 semi-final, and 2007 semi-final. All have gone Pakistan's way. Hopefully, it's a repeat of 2007 World Cup and also a result of 2007 World Cup. I think it should be in India Pakistan out of 15 long years, hopefully, and maybe
I'll
the
be
result
honest.
also.
I'll be very
Yeah,
honest. I am a bit worried about it all turning out to be the Champions Trophy final. I remember how confident we were in the Champions Trophy final, and we expected them to, India to roll Pakistan over again. But we lost a few early wickets, and then we really struggled to come back. Maybe it's possible that could happen. It is highly possible because if
it is
Pakistan
possible.
gets to the finals from where they were, they're going to be the more motivated of the two.
Absolutely, and I don't think India is going to lose any motivation as well because if you look at the Indian team, they are here with
No,
they are here on a
absolutely. I mean,
mission.
but then
Seriously.
there is this thing, right, where
No, I think 2017 you had a lot of issues, especially when it comes to the middle order. You do not have a
yeah.
middle order going in your favor. You do not have
But then
X
India
factor
is
players.
coming into the tournament with the same amount of issues. I mean, it's not the same issues you would say.
I think India,
It's a complete switch, right? Now India is coming into this into it thinking about the openers and how the openers might
you know, a
perform.
lot of India had a lot of
India is
issues
more
in that
dependent
particular
on their
tournament. To
middle
be very
order.
fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
India had a lot of issues in that tournament. To be very fair, and it was
yeah,
a
but
very small tournament. And I think here India looked much more motivated. I think if you defeat England in a semi-final, I think India England is going to be the toughest challenge for India, not the final.
yeah.
The moment you defeat England, you're going to
But
be in
then
a
that's where
distant
I'm a bit,
zone.
that's the thing, right? I mean, for Pakistan, you have to also see from where Pakistan were. It was not, it was just 2 to 3 weeks ago where the whole of Pakistan were up in arms. They wanted Baba's head. They were killing it. I mean, they wanted the whole board to be sacked. They wanted all the players to be thrown out. But this is the same vibe we had in Champions Trophy. Remember how many memes came out when Sarfaraz Ahmed was caught yawning in that match against India. And then the way they came back, they beat some of the best teams. Some of the things went their way, some of the fixtures went their way. I'm getting that whole vibe all over again. That's where India should be wary. And none of these matches are going to be important. Kapil has got it very right because if India needs to win the tournament, they have to be on their toes because no other team is going to give them an inch. India has to make sure that they don't give an inch as well. We've seen that India has been guilty of it. India's ball no balls before, India's dropped catches before. India have to make sure they have a perfect match. It's not easy because it is the world tournament. A billion people want them to win, and it's not easy, but they have to do it because that's what it takes to win tournaments of this level, this magnitude.
Truly, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes for Team India. And if you have to be world champions, you have to beat all the best teams. And I think it won't be bad to defeat England. England are one of the best white ball teams out there. And to defeat England and to go on to defeat maybe even New Zealand, your biggest nemesis, that'd be ideal. Then you might have defeated all the teams running through to the final except South Africa. And South Africa, I don't think that was even, I don't even know how we lost to that match, how we lost that game. We did some very poor fielding efforts, or else even that match should have been under our KT,
Yeah.
ideally speaking. So. But that's pretty much it from us today. I think we'll come back for more of these in the coming days, and Teju will take last comment before we end it. Shakib's decision, man, meltdown if it was India. Absolutely, I totally think it was just nonsense from the umpire. I've never seen a howler being given after it being reviewed in such a way. There was a clear daylight between bat and the ground, and there
In
was
an
a
ICC
huge
tournament.
spike,
Yeah.
and that could have possibly that was a match
Because
turned
I
into
felt today was the kind of pitch that Shaki would have enjoyed to bat on.
yes, absolutely.
It
That
was
really
a
demoralized
spinners.
the Bangladesh team.
Yeah,
That's when the
but I
spiral
think you have to be
started.
honest here, Teju. It was Virat Kohli again. He was the one who whispered in the umpire's ears. We have to understand Virat Kohli has a direct connect. He is the probably the head of the umpires council right now, and the umpire was just looking to impress Virat Kohli. So that's the answer to the question. Virat Kohli has something out for Shakib. That's my theory. That's honestly my theory. I think Shakib has done something to hurt Virat Kohli, and he's
Yeah.
taking his revenge. You don't go against the
No,
King Kohli.
I would say Pakistan would be like, no, this is part and parcel of the game because
No,
they were
no,
the
no.
ones
Abel,
who
you
were
have to
more
realize it's Virat Kohli's fault. It's absolutely Virat Kohli's fault.
Okay, they were the ones who were more upset the last matches. I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah. I think I hope we get the top. I hope we get views like top-notch analysis from me saying this.
We are the top notch analysis guys. So if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel already. And remember to play our fantasy contest on Boom 11. Remember to pick, play, and win with Boom 11, because this is the app out there where you can play for absolute free of cost. I mean, so many prizes. I do remember to try out our predictor feature as well. It's an absolute fun joining with you all on daily basis. I know we've got 3 more games to cover in the World Cup, and I'm pretty sure those 3 games are going to be a belter of ones. I'm pretty sure the first
Yeah.
one starts Pakistan, New Zealand, then India, England, and the final next Sunday. I'm very excited about it. I hope you all are, and we'll be back very shortly. Good night.
Good night, guys.